In the ever-expanding world of the Leovincible mythos, few creatures blur the line between reality and nightmare as these do. Each of these entities carries its own set of rules, motives, and impossible powers, but they all share one trait in common. Once they've chosen you, escape is rarely an option. In this video, we'll be exploring how these beings operate, what drives them, and the fragile tactics that might, just might, keep you alive. From silent watchers to cosmic predators, these are not monsters born of imagination. They are warnings of what lies beyond human comprehension. So stay alert, keep your lights on, and remember, in the world of Leovincible, survival isn't promised, it's only borrowed. Black Crown is a living embodiment of greed, an entity that wants everything and spares nothing. His entire existence revolves around desire and consumption. Described as a tall humanoid figure with completely black skin, he has no eyes but bears a wide, tooth-filled grin that stretches unnaturally across his face. Jagged spikes protrude from his skull, forming a natural crown, a cruel symbol of his dominance and self-proclaimed royalty. Draped in a long, yellow tunic, he radiates both wealth and decay, a monarch of gluttony that consumes all in his path. His realm mirrors his nature, a place built entirely from his own greed, where everything that exists does so only to serve his hunger. Black Crown feeds not out of need, but out of compulsion. He devours until there is nothing left, consuming people alive when denied what he desires. To encounter him is to face pure, unrestrained selfishness. A force that takes and never gives. His destruction would mean the collapse of all that he has claimed, which by now might be everything. There is no confirmed method of survival once Black Crown has set his eyes on you. The safest course of action is complete submission. If he demands something, give it without hesitation or question. Any sign of resistance or greed on your part may provoke his wrath. Black Crown is an entity of near divine power, existing beyond mortal comprehension. He does not bargain, he only takes. To fight him is pointless. Weapons, prayers, and even other entities are meaningless in his presence. If he desires your possessions, he will have them. If he desires your essence, your fate is already sealed. The demonic bunny, also known as Demon Bunny, is a grotesque and unsettling creature born of Leovincible's universe. A twisted fusion of horror and absurdity. This entity resembles a fleshy skeletal rabbit, its skin a slick, blood-red hue stretched over exposed bone. Its elongated jaw opens far wider than natural, revealing a second mouth nested within. And its rabbit-like face appears more like a mask crudely attached to the skull, with eyes that don't align with the sockets. Adding to its uncanny nature, it bears a single elongated nostril, and an overpowering stench of decay follows it wherever it appears. The demonic bunny's physical form has reportedly shifted multiple times, its details altering slightly between sightings, though its grotesque essence remains unchanged. Despite its demonic strength and alarming speed, the creature has one critical flaw. It is extremely fragile. A single well-placed hit, even from something as simple as a shovel, can end it. When unprovoked, the demonic bunny stalks and attacks victims with feral aggression, lunging without hesitation. Yet, when met with resistance, it becomes erratic and cowardly, retreating or flailing in confusion. In one known encounter, the creature was struck across the jaw only to punch its own face back into place before birthing another demonic bunny, suggesting it may reproduce instantaneously through pain or death. If you encountered a demonic bunny, do not panic. Its horrifying appearance masks how fragile it is. Stand your ground if escape is not possible. Blunt force can kill it instantly. Avoid showing fear, as it tends to prey on panic and weakness. If you have any form of melee weapon, aim for the head or jaw. If you succeed in destroying it, leave the area immediately, as a new one may soon be born from its remains. A creature of raw instinct and volatile rage, the demonic bunny is proof that not all monsters in the Leovincible mythos are godlike. Some are just vicious, fragile reflections of insanity itself. Once a fool meant to entertain a cruel king, Airhead is now a wretched being born from mockery, pain, and decay. Standing at 6 feet tall, it is a golden brown skeletal creature. Its rotting teeth fuse deep into its split lips, and its flesh riddled with holes that reveal dry, twitching muscle beneath. It is unnaturally thin, a walking carcass driven only by hunger and instinct. Where a face should be, there is instead a glowing red error sign, from which a wet, twisted mouth bursts out from the bottom, forever grinning and leaking a faint, corrupted light. Airhead's origin is one of cruel irony. Created as a living jester by a tyrant king, it was beaten, humiliated, and pelted with rotten apples for amusement. But the creature endured. When the kingdom finally fell to ruin and its people turned to dust, the jester remained, starving, insane, and purposeless. Over centuries it evolved, learning from predators, adapting their cruelty. Its laughter died, replaced by a low static hiss that echoes through empty halls. Now Airhead hunts anything that moves, crawling through shadows with disturbing speed. It no longer obeys commands or seeks laughter. It hunts because that is all it remembers. It is said that anyone who meets his flickering error gaze is overcome with nausea, disorientation, and a sense of hopelessness. Avoid eye contact with the glowing sign at all costs. It is believed to disorient perception and lure victims into paralysis. Do not attempt to reason with it. Airhead no longer understands language, only tone and movement. If spotted, remain perfectly still and avoid making noise. It hunts primarily by motion and vibration. Once it begins crawling, run and find higher ground. Its limbs are built for quick bursts, not endurance. Above all, never mock it. Its hatred for laughter and ridicule is boundless. To taunt it is to invite a swift, screaming death. Hazardous is a towering brute-like entity, its body warped and mutated beyond recognition. It stands tall with sickly green flesh, stretched tightly beneath a corroded yellow hazmat suit that barely contains its grotesque form. The creature's eyeballs bulge unnaturally from their sockets, too large to fit within the melted remains of its face. Its skin appears fused inside of the helmet, tethered by strands of flesh that cling to the suit's upper frame. A thick black substance seeps from the cracks of its helmet and torn sleeves of its suit. The nature of this ooze remains unknown. It may be a radioactive byproduct, a biological toxin, or even liquefied remnants of the creature's decaying body. Its mutated fingers uneven in length and proportion and in dark, corroded nails that drip with the same substance. Despite its disfigurement, Hazardous wears a pair of heavy black boots, possibly relics of its former human identity. Hazardous is highly aggressive, known to attack on sight with overwhelming physical strength. Its movements are erratic yet deliberate, suggesting a trace of intelligence beneath its madness. It appears to be driven by an insatiable hunger or a deep primal rage. When engaged, it emits faint, disoriented sounds, a mixture of wheezing, static, and distant screaming, as though the remains of its humanity are trapped inside the suit, begging for release. Hazardous possesses several terrifying abilities that make it nearly unstoppable. It demonstrates radioactive manipulation, capable of generating bursts of toxic energy that corrode organic and inorganic matter alike. It exhibits absorption, able to consume radiation or biological material to regenerate or strengthen itself. Its body manipulation allows it to warp its own flesh into defensive or offensive shapes, and biological manipulation gives it control over its decaying cells, maintaining its undead state. Hazardous is even capable of energy manipulation, projecting waves of unstable power that can melt metal, and cloning, creating unstable, deformed replicas of itself from the black sludge it secretes. Avoid Hazardous at all costs. Direct combat is certain death. The creature's presence alone may irradiate the surrounding area, and contact with its leaking fluids are likely fatal. If encountered, immediately evacuate the area and avoid breathing unfiltered air. Distance, cover, and speed are your only allies. Do not attempt to destroy or contain Hazardous. Containment is impossible. Its corruption spreads wherever it treads, leaving behind zones of death and decay. Survival depends solely on staying unseen and escaping before exposure becomes lethal. The Megahorn is a colossal, grotesque mutation of the original Siren Head, serving as both its apex predator and its ultimate downfall. Towering over buildings, this monstrous entity is an obese, multi-limbed abomination, its skeletal structure warped by uncontrolled growth and consumption. Its defining feature is the massive siren fused to its head, far larger and louder than that of any other Siren Head variant. Due to its sheer bulk, Megahorn no longer moves upright. Instead, it crawls and scuttles like a spider, supported by numerous elongated limbs that sprout chaotically from its bloated torso. The creature's skin is stretched and cracked, oozing a tar-like fluid that may be remnants of absorbed siren heads. Its sirens produce unearthly, disoriented frequencies capable of shattering eardrums, rupturing organs, and leveling structures. Locals who have survived distant encounters describe its approach as a sympathy of mechanical howls, static bursts, and inhuman wailing that grows louder the closer it comes, a warning that death itself is moving through the dark. Megahorn is born through cannibalism. When a Siren Head devours another of its kind, it undergoes a grotesque transformation, mutating into something far more powerful and far less stable. This endless hunger drives the Megahorn to consume anything in its path. Humans, animals, monsters, and even other Siren Heads. With every kill, it grows larger, its sirens expand, and its cry becomes deafeningly stronger. Once it reaches a certain size, the Megahorn becomes a cataclysmic force of nature, a crawling city-sized behemoth capable of destroying entire towns simply by existing within them. It displays a primitive intelligence, using strategy to ambush and overpower other Siren Heads, and learning from its hunts. There is no guaranteed survival against Megahorn. If its cry reaches your ears, you're already within its killing radius. The only conceivable strategy is avoidance and distance. Evacuate immediately upon detecting anomalous siren sounds, especially those accompanied by distortion or static interference. Never seek shelter indoors. Megahorn can collapse structures effortlessly. Head for underground bunkers or heavily shielded environments, though even these offer limited protection from its sound-based attacks. Do not attempt to engage or observe it. The vibrations alone are enough to cause fatal trauma. Each time it feeds, Megahorn grows stronger, louder, and closer to something beyond comprehension. A godlike being born of hunger and noise. The Monochrome Husk is a sinister entity representing emptiness, depression, and the void of color itself. Classified as one of the chromofolk, it embodies monotone and grayscale shades, a living absence of life and vibrancy. Its body appears cloaked in a hooded garment, an unnerving symbol of despair and self-destruction. Its presence is often accompanied by flickering imagery, drained color, and persuasive aura of dread. While much about its origins remain unclear, Monochrome Husk's imagery and associated posts strongly connected to themes of self-harm, hopelessness, and emotional decay. One infamous depiction shows it dropping a toaster into a bathtub, implying a cruel fascination with self-inflicted death. The creature is also known to smoke constantly, often seen holding a cigarette. Monochrome Husk is an aggressive, hostile being, not just towards humans, but also towards its own kind. Unlike other chromofolk, it demonstrates no allegiance, seeking only to consume and erase. It has been recorded slaughtering other chromofolk, including primary color man and secondary color woman, both of which were vastly powerful entities in their own right. This act alone cements Monochrome Husk as the most dominant and destructive of its kind, a being that feeds on both life and hue. Wherever it walks, color drains from the environment, leaving behind a lifeless, gray wasteland. Plants wilt, skies darken, and living beings lose vibrancy, literally and metaphorically. Its ability to steal color appears to go beyond visual spectrum, feeding on the emotional energy tied to color, such as joy, warmth, and passion. There is no confirmed method of surviving an encounter with the Monochrome Husk. Once color begins to fade from your surroundings, it is likely already too late. The only potential tactic is avoidance. Do not approach desaturated environments, and leave any area where visual or emotional dullness suddenly intensifies. Some theorize that bright light or color exposure may temporarily repel it, but this remains unverified and likely ineffective against its full power. If encountered, do not engage. Run, hide, and do not look back. The Monochrome Husk is not merely a monster, it is a concept given form, the embodiment of despair, feeding on the lifeless shades left behind when hope is gone. The Neighbour is a deeply unsettling humanoid entity with a grotesque resemblance to human anatomy twisted beyond recognition. It stands upright on two disturbingly flexible legs, its movements jerky yet calculated, mimicking the awkward familiarity of a human trying to walk normally. Its flesh is pink and slick, as if perpetually raw. The most distinctive feature of this creature is its three arms, two protruding normally from its shoulders, while a third arm emerges from the top of its head, twitching and reaching with unnatural precision. The Neighbour's face is eyeless and noseless, giving it an eerie, unfinished, fleshy mask-like appearance. Its wide, gaping mouth is lined with a full row of uneven teeth, both on top and bottom. Inside this mouth, illuminated only by camera flashes or dim light, lies a second face, haunting, ghost-like, and seemingly human. The secondary visage is believed to belong to one of the Neighbour's past victims, repurposed as a lure to mimic familiar voices and draw in new prey. The Neighbour exhibits mimicry and psychological manipulation as its primary hunting methods. It is known to imitate the voices of people familiar to its targets, often whispering from the dark hallways or outside windows in a tone that evokes trust and curiosity. Victims frequently report hearing someone they know, a friend, family member, or literal neighbor, calling to them from the darkness, often using comforting or pleading words to lure them closer. Once the victim enters the darkness or steps within reach, the Neighbour attacks without hesitation, using its elongated limbs to grab and restrain them. It is presumed that the face inside the mouth absorbs the soul or consciousness of its victims, allowing it to replicate their voice in future hunts. The Neighbour prefers dark, enclosed environments such as abandoned houses, hallways, or alleys. It remains unseen until it is too late, using silence and familiarity as its most powerful weapons. If you hear a familiar voice calling from the darkness, do not respond, do not investigate, and never follow it. Turn on all lights, retreat to a secure and brightly lit area, and avoid isolated environments. If you must confirm the safety of the person whose voice you heard, verify their presence visually before assuming it's them. Never approach an unseen caller, especially in dimly lit or confined spaces. The Neighbour's entire existence thrives on curiosity and compassion. Resist both, and you may live. The creatures of Leovincible's world are not monsters. They're reflections of human emotion, greed, fear, and despair. Each one born from something deeply human, and twisted beyond recognition. From greed that devours to voices that lure, these beings remind us that the darkest horrors aren't always otherworldly. Sometimes they're born from what we already are. If you made it this far, remember, curiosity is dangerous, and knowledge can be fatal. But if you're still willing to explore the unknown, you belong here. Stay curious, stay cautious, and until next time, keep your lights on, because Leovincible's horrors are never too far behind.